Hey, welcome back to the channel. It is time for us to continue our read-along of John Langan's The Wide Carnivorous Sky and Other Monstrous Geographies. We are on episode 4 of this read-along, taking it slow, taking it easy, and today we are talking about The City of the Dog, just that one story. But before I move on, I would like to let you guys know that John Langan's debut novel, The House of Windows, is on sale for only $2, $1.99 on Amazon. In case you wanted to check out his other works, this is an easy entry point, and I obviously picked it up because I am thoroughly enjoying the one we're reading together. And if this is the first time you're catching this read along, fear not. I know we're on episode 4. That seems like a hell of a lot to read, but we're only about 40 to 50% through this book. We're taking it very slowly. So I'd love for you to join the conversation, either on my Discord or in the comments below. All right, well, with that said, let us dig into this book. Let's dig into the story, The City of the Dog. And I have this first bit highlighted because I just loved it. I think it was a great opening scene. In fact, this very visual scene lasts quite a while. But let us start with the first paragraph. I thought it was a dog from the other side of the lot. That was what it most resembled, down to all fours, hair plastered to its pale skeletal trunk by the rain that had us hurrying down the sidewalk, head drawn into a snout. It was injured, that much was clear. Even with the rain rinsing its leg, a jagged tear wept fresh blood that caught the headlights of the scars turning onto Central, that had caught my eye, caused me to slow. And so this, as you know, proceeds with our protagonist, which is funny. I didn't think about this till I finished the story, but do we ever know the protagonist's name? Do we never know the name of the man telling this story in first person? I kind of briefly scanned it, and if I missed it, let me know, please, in the comments, because I'm curious of his name. I just couldn't find it. But anyway, we know that this guy, he finds this, what appears to be a dog, a strange dog. And this entire section, multiple pages of it, is incredibly visual. I think I make a note here. Yeah, this is where it ends, essentially. So I guess it's multiple pages on the Kindle. Not multiple pages on here, but it was, needless to say, it was kind of a long, vivid, beat-by-beat description that really had me hooked immediately, and I really like that. And the next highlight I have here is, I found it to be an interesting aside, or an interesting quote, which is, there are people, the mentally ill, the visionary, who emit cues, some subtle, some less so, that they are not traveling the same roads as the rest of us. And the reason why that stood out to me is because I read this book called, I think it was The Believing Brain, if I remember correctly, by Michael Shermer. And he runs the Skeptic Society, so he talks to plenty of academics, scientists, all these great minds of our time. And he was talking about how there is a very fine line between madness and genius. And I'm sure if you know anybody in your lives who walks that line, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. The more gifted, let's say, or genius-like someone becomes, it almost appears that they're a little crazy, and the other way around, because his argument, anyway, if you're curious, is that they just see more patterns than we do in things. And some of those patterns are correct, where they make like amazing discoveries in physics or something, for example. But then they'll also see aliens or weird markings that may speak of aliens that really aren't there whatsoever. So it's a matter of pattern recognition, some of us being able to see more of those than others. And then the story progresses on where we go back in time and we learn of a relationship between our protagonist and Caitlin. There's a bit of a love triangle with a man named Chris. And that culminates into, the fact that Caitlin is missing, and then Chris joins our narrator on a hunt, kidnaps him essentially, takes him to this cemetery after we learn about these strange interconnected tunnels, which definitely relays back to his apartment, where there was this concrete open, if I remember correctly. And so I think, as much as I enjoyed the story, I think one downside to it, for me anyway, is there was a lot of exposition about the backstory of our narrator and his relationship to Caitlin and stuff. But even though it was expository, John Langan, again, he the way he writes really keeps my attention, so it didn't bother me. And here toward the end, when Chris is talking to this strange figure in this crypt, this stood out to me. I wasn't sure if these were real people or if they were fictional people. In terms of, I mean, fictional as in like from mythology, or did John Langan just create these himself? And it appears as if they are Greek goddesses and characters in the in Greek mythology, which was kind of cool. And another thing that really stood out to me was the spelling of ghoul, which was Ghul. But I looked this up. We all know what a ghoul is, right? A ghoul is a demon-like being or monstrous humanoid originating in pre-Islamic Arabian religion. I did not know it was Arabic, which is kind of cool. And that is what the spelling we have here that we see in the book. And I thought that was quite interesting. And if you read this, I didn't really see much about how they look. Oh, well, I should have scrolled down a little bit more, because you can see here that Arabic folklore, the ghoul is said to dwell in cemeteries and other uninhabited places. A male ghoul is referred to as a ghoul, the female is the ghula. But we do see here down further, some state that a ghoul is a desert-dwelling, shape-shifting demon that can assume the guise of an animal, especially a hyena. There's where we get our hound visual. So I didn't know this. So, I play role-playing games and stuff. I knew what a ghoul was. I always pictured a ghoul to be kind of a wight or some kind of undead creature. Humanoid, that is. I didn't realize that they were historically or mythologically known as shapeshifters, but that is cool to know, because now that we know why they were taking the forms of the hounds in this iteration of the story, or in this version of the story. And I thought it was interesting bringing that to the modern age. I always love it when writers take folklore and then bring it into the present. Brahm does that quite a bit. And here is an interesting point. I think this is where kind of the story turns a little bit, because we're constantly not really liking Chris a whole lot because he slept with Caitlin. And so we're feeling for our narrator. And I think this is a great example of how the narrator, we can empathize with them, because we're getting their specific POV this entire time and we don't know the full story. And then this final part here speaks volumes about the character, the narrator. This is when, Chris offers his friend to bring Caitlin back to this ghoul, and the hounds are like, that's not good enough, or they're not interested, which I think is a great amount of subtext to this whole story and this character piece. And he responds with, once Chris offers himself up, he says, aren't you going to stop me? Aren't you going to insist you be the one that they take for Caitlin? And he simply says, no. He almost smiled. You never deserved her. And then this right here, I had no answer for that. So even the narrator himself is kind of understanding more deeply who he is, and that he did not deserve Caitlin. And we find out that he is haunted by Caitlin and Chris in their ghoul forms, I guess, for presumably the rest of his life. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it. We don't really learn much about the narrator outside of what we're learning from him specifically until that moment. And, actions speak louder than words, and his action there and his response there really cemented to us what kind of character he was. And the final line here, or the final few lines, the ghoul lopes along beside her, nimble on its feet. It too has become more lean. The scar over its left eye remains, and that we know is Chris's scar from his accident. But overall, really enjoyed the story. I like to see John Langan kind of jumping around to different mythologies, different storytelling techniques. This is quite a collection from many different angles. So let me know what you're thinking. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the Discord how you're liking what we're reading so far. And for next week, I think we are going to dig into The Shallows. And it's only about 20 pages long, so this is a short one. So if you're behind, this is where you get to catch up to us. And as anxious as I am to dig into the novella, I believe it's called Mother of Stone, I still want to consume this story by story. I want to get a full picture of this anthology, and I'm eager to check out some of his other works. And again, if you have not joined us on this read along, I would love for you to read along with us. We're only about halfway there, so you got plenty of time to catch up if you're behind. Join the Discord to continue the conversation, or if you'd like to just drop comments down below, that is great as well. And I'm eager to find out what the next tale, The Shallows, brings. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye.